Hey, I'm on the edge of my seat here, back again with another brand new video. So today I will be no damaging all the boss fights in Judge Eyes. However, when this game got brought over to the West, it got renamed to Judgment. But I don't like that name that much because I typed Judgment into Google and the game does not show up. Like, it gets confused with a bunch of other stuff. And when I was putting the title into the YouTube like game thing, because I don't know, sometimes you can put the title of the game to kind of, I'm assuming, make it show up in search bars more if you type the name in. But then a bunch of other stuff showed up, like Gears of War Judgment, like Terminator 2 Judgment, because Judgment has been used so much, so it's just a really stock title. While Judge Eyes, well, I don't know, a bit of like, you know, English or whatever, like at least is a lot more unique and also kind of, well, has a little bit more to do with the game than Judgment. Though to be fair, Judgment does have something to do with the game because, you know, you judged people in this game and all that. But anyways, this is the first boss fight, and I gotta say this is not my best performance because this fight, I was first picking the game up in a long while, trying to get familiar with all of like the tips and tricks and just kind of failing at most of them. Like, I'm trying to like do juggles, they did not work out. I was trying to do like a cool little combo where I go from one style to the other style. It didn't work out because I don't know, sometimes Judgment does not, Judgment, whichever name, does not read your inputs when you're doing that. And well, this game's combat has a lot to talk about, but in this next fight I am a little more successful in my tricks and I'll talk about it there. So this is like the first like real boss fight of the game, and this is the combo I'm trying to do. Pretty much just square, square, triangle, square, square, triangle, like combo switch, jump over the enemy, and then go for a full combo, which leads to this heat action. This is extremely useful and works for most fights in the game, though some fights are a little less recipient to it, but this is definitely something which you should get a little good at if you want to like start dealing the big damage to the boss fights. And well, speaking of boss fights, I will say there is one disappointing aspect of Judge Eyes, is that a lot of the boss fights don't have original movesets. It's kind of like the Kiwami games where most of the movesets have been copied from other games. However, this guy does have an original moveset, and he's one of the only people with an original moveset. Like, he's like the first boss in the game, and he shortly discarded afterwards, so it's like, alright? But still, this is a pretty cool fight. So one thing Judge Eyes loves a ton is its group fights, and you're going to encounter a ton of them. So how do you deal with them? Well, it depends from situation to situation, but I don't know, the way I usually deal with them is just to kind of, well, here I get a little messy with it because I'm still like a little new to the game, trying to like find my rhythm. But the way I usually handle group fights is just to go like square, square, triangle, triangle, then switch combos, like switch styles, square, square, triangle, triangle, and just kind of go from there. And ooh, did you see that? That move is called what I believe is a flux fixture. And the way you do it's a little awkward to do, but it's one of the most powerful moves in the game. So pretty much the way you do it is that, well, first off, like this game's combat. So you have two combat styles. You have this one, which is called Crane in the English version, I believe. And Crane is pretty much just kind of like this smooth, kicky style, and its animations, I believe, are actually copied from Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise. Like, this game has a ton of like asset reuse, some like, you know, kind of disappointing to see, some like really smart and inventive. Like, oh, look at that. But yeah, some of the asset use in this game is really inventive. Like, for example, the Crane style, the blue style, like, your like main combo here is copied from like Kenshiro's like low kick in that game, because I don't know, in like Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise, there's like these enemies which are like really short, and you have a unique animation for when you attack them, and I think they copied like most of that animation over to like Yagami here. Oh yeah, this dude's name is Yagami, by the way. So like, yeah, that was just like, I mean, it's a weird thing to reuse, but I think it works really well for the game. And also, for your third finisher attack with the crane style, you know, like square, 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 triangle, 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 they actually copy the moves which a lot of the Snake Flower Triad would do, like the little like fancy jump kick they would do where they just kind of spin in the air. Yagami has that same exact move, so you actually get to attack with that move now, which is, once again, another like really cool way to reuse assets. But then here's your second style, Tiger. And with your Tiger style, there's, oh, check this out though. Well, I guess before I get to Tiger style, I might as well talk about the extreme heat mode of this game. Though, to be fair, I think it has another name, but I did not play the English version, so I don't know what that name is. I'm just gonna call it extreme heat mode. So, pretty much, once you have like, you know, like heat, you can pretty much press the right trigger to pretty much enter like a super mode. And like this is a huge improvement over the extreme heat mode that was in Yakuza 6 and Kiwami 2. Like the camera doesn't zoom in, such a stupid example where you can't see the fight, and it's actually fun to use. Instead of having like combos which like don't flow well with your attacks, you pretty much just have your normal combos except sped up to the maximum. And not only is that sped up, your transitions between the styles is also sped up. So you can pretty much like combo enemies even faster. Because I don't know, when you're like using the styles normally, there's like a slight delay when you like when you like change between the styles. Like there's like moments where you can change, you can't change at any point. But when you're in this heat mode, like this extreme heat mode, you can change at any point during your combos. You can cancel out of a ton of stuff. But to be fair, canceling out of stuff isn't that important, because another thing this extreme heat mode gives you is complete invincibility. So there will be times where I will use this extreme heat mode, and you'll see me, like an enemy hit me and be like, hey, why didn't I take any damage? Because you're invincible in this mode. So it's like, I kind of wish they didn't do that, as useful as it is, because like, I don't know, like you have so many other tools to deal with. Like it's not in like Yakuza 6 or in Kiwami 2 where like most of the moves you do in extreme heat mode will just like make you take a ton of damage just because you're stuck in one place doing like this one thing. Like it's not like that, because there's a ton of stuff you can do to avoid damage while you're in this mode. But however, my favorite thing about this mode is that it gives you access to a completely new combo. And pretty much the way you do this new combo is just by like spamming triangle. But it's just rad. Like you have your normal combo, then you have this super combo, which you have the crane super combo, which is super useful for taking out crowds. And then you have like the tiger combo, which is super good for taking out like individual enemies. And oh yeah, the tiger style. Now the tiger style is really strange when it comes to like inputs, because like I don't know, I mean, most Yakuza combat systems, like they kind of follow this thing where it's like, you know, square, 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 triangle, and you know, every time you press square, it's one hit, you know, like square, square, you know, two punches, you know, like here, one press of the square button gives you two bunches, like one, two, square, 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 so it's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like you don't input that second punch comes out like once you hit the button once, so it takes a little while to get used to that timing. And that timing is really important, because then there's the flux fixture. Because the way you do the flux fixture is by pretty much doing an attack and holding the button down. So it'll be like square, square, hold the button down, and then once you like, you know, finish your combo, you'll glow red and then do a whoosh. You'll stick your hand out into like their like rib cage and just burst it open. And pretty much send the enemy flying. And this move deals a ton of damage. It sends the enemy across the room, and it's just insanely useful. However, it's a little hard to like you know, do it with the enemies not breaking their guards, but there's quite a few ways to do it. You could stun the enemy first, and well, I do that later on when the boss fights get a little cheeky and I have to resort to more like damaging strats. But yeah, it's a really useful move no matter what you do, though you do gotta set it up nicely. So here we have a Kuze knockoff, but to be fair, this is like a side mission like boss fight. They just kind of introduce him in the main story for a bit, so I decided to no damage him. But yeah, he's pretty much just a Kuze knockoff, and he's not too hard to deal with. However, you know, I'm trying to deal with the crowd here, because you know, he could sneak up on me while I'm dealing with this crowd, and I do not want that. And I gotta say, Judge Eyes does improve one huge thing from Yakuza 6 and Kiwami 2, and that's that different boss fights actually have different colored heat auras. It's not all red! like it was in Kiwami 2. So that is very nice to see. And also another thing, this game's Tiger Drop is really fun to perform. Here, I'll show you in a bit. And it's funny to think that this game's Tiger Drop is so satisfying when in Yakuza 6 and Kiwami 2 it was a little bit like less than it was in Kiwami 1. But I don't know, this one's just fun to perform. And I guess a big part of that might just be this like boss fight's new like fever mode, like super mode, like retaliation attack, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Like when they pretty much like glow red and they have super armor and they like perform a huge attack, it is extremely satisfying to just like knock them out with a Tiger Drop. Like I don't know, like some attacks are a little hard to do, and there's so much I don't even know how you Tiger Drop, but like for the most part, it's just extremely fun to watch them like have this little big show and dance and just knock them out. And here we have Kengo, I believe his name is, but they don't even put his name in like the boss fight like title screen, even though, like I mean, in my copy of the game it's not English. And oh, check this out, bro, I'm standing on his hand. How does that happen? Alright, Pluck Picture. So yeah, like this big like heat mode thing, or like, I don't know, retaliation attack they do once they reach a certain health point. Yeah, it's pretty interesting because, well, the boss fight's health bar, like pretty much at a certain point, will do that move, and you won't be able to knock down their health until they do that move. So it's not like you can avoid it. It has to happen at a certain point, because if you don't let it happen, then you don't deal damage to him like after you deal. Like to my knowledge, this like big mode comes in after you like take out half of their health bar. And then once they're in heat mode, they do have some new properties. You know, they sometimes will go into super armor a lot more and can be a little troublesome to deal with. Like they won't be as easy to combo, though to be fair, with a lot of these earlier boss fights, that isn't too big of an issue. But anyways, here we're going to tackle Kuze, except on his own and with a little bit more health. However, we're still going to destroy him. So just like Yakuza 0, in the beginning of a fight, you can pretty much just completely like combo on an enemy because they don't really have their defenses up yet. So it's best to take advantage of that. Like I mean that's only like not true for very few select fights, but for the most part, you want to just immediately combo the enemy with everything you've got. And as you can see there, you can actually juggle in this game. And juggling's pretty fun, though I will admit it's like a little bit messy because of the physics engine. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's not consistent. But yeah, they're just kind of, well, there's a lot of cool ways to go into juggles. Like first there's the crane combo where you pretty much go, you know, square, 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 triangle, triangle. Like only 2 triangles, because if you do the 3rd triangle, they'll just like knock them out. You want like the 2nd triangle, because the 2nd triangle of your combo will launch them to the air. Then immediately style switch to the other combo, you know, go for that little combo there, like hit them. And then from there, there's like a couple other variations you can do, but like I don't know, like, yeah, juggling's just weird because, you know, sometimes if you don't switch fast enough, like your hits don't come out fast enough to like hit them. Sometimes the enemies, like gravity's like more centered to the ground, so sometimes they like just float down faster. It's confusing, it's not consistent, but it is cool to do. So here is an annoying little like aspect of this game, and like I don't know, so something I'm not 100% familiar with the Yakuza series is just how many games Nagoshi was personally involved in. Because he was definitely involved with the first Yakuza, but the second one actually here didn't have any of his involvement, which is like, what? Like, that's a little weird. However, this is a game which like he was, like, from my knowledge, definitely involved in. And I guess he was definitely involved in it because This game does something a little similar to what the first Yakuza did, where they'll take a break from the story to like go into like this like mandatory like kind of side story. Though here it's a lot more annoying because okay, so my copy of the game is in Chinese to my knowledge, because they'll put these little subtitles underneath like the Japanese like kind of boss titles and all that. And so yeah, this game is in Chinese, and the reason I got it in Chinese I'll get into later. But yeah, pretty much. But I did actually like watch the story, because I watched the walkthrough alongside while playing this game for like the no damage boss fights, because like I keep hearing people say this has one of the best stories in the series. And yeah, I have got to agree, this is easily one of the best stories in the entire like Yakuza franchise. Even though this is a spin-off, this is one of the best narratives in the series, and you'd be a fool to miss it. But yeah, anyway, so the annoying thing this game does is that, you know, you'll be going through, you'll be engaged, you know, you'll be going through the story like, wow, this is awesome. And then like at some point in the chapter, they're going to be like, there's some information I'm going to give you that's going to advance the plot. Could you please wait a bit? And then when you wait a bit, you're like forced into like this like mandatory like side content. Like sometimes like, these little like side missions actually like inform the main plot like pretty well, but man, like sometimes I just do not care. Like I'm too engrossed in the main story, and it's just like, man, come on. Like, I mean, to be fair, it's not like Yakuza's always had the best way to implement its side content into the main story. However, usually that's a kind like when they introduce the side content, it's like a one and done deal. Like, you know, Yakuza 0, it's like, okay, we gotta introduce the real estate, introduce it in this chapter. Or, hey, we gotta introduce the, you know, cabaret club, introduce it in this chapter, you know, one and done deal. But here, it's like every chapter until like 8 or 9, there's always like, okay, please wait a bit, go engage in some side content, which isn't like as interesting. It's like, okay, alright. It's just like, the game's always doing this, and it's like, man, do we really need that? Like, come on. Oh yeah, anyways, here's the fight with Toru Higashi, who's a really rad character. A lot of people know that, but yeah, he's pretty cool. And he's also a group fight. And as you can see there, the way I usually deal with these group fights is that, like, I mean, I don't know, the cool way to like deal with the group fights would be to like activate like your extreme heat mode at the very start to get rid of the entire crowd. But I don't know, I feel like that's a little bit too easy. I don't want to do that. So instead, what I do is that I'll just try to take him out normally. Like, I mean, I start out, I kind of go in for a little grab, triangle, like that thing goes in a full arc, so it like deals damage to everyone. Though to be fair, that's not the most effective way to deal with that, but it was a pretty cool way to deal with that. And also, oh yeah, Judge Eyes fixed the grabs a bit from Yakuza 6 and Kiwami 2, because in, I don't know, like in Yakuza 6 and Kiwami 2, like, I mean, you do have that little like arc thing you can do, but I don't know, when you throw an enemy, it's not really consistent whether you deal damage or not. And that was really annoying. Do not like that. But yeah, so pretty much just do that, and then from there kind of do some wall attacks, because pretty much, yeah, I think unique aspect of the game is that you can just run up to a wall, jump off it, like do some parkour and all that. Or I think there's a better word for that, but I forget. And pretty much once you're on a wall, you can either do a wall square attack, which will like hit an enemy, a wall like triangle attack, which will knock an enemy over, to my knowledge. Or you can do a wall like circle attack, where you can pretty much grab an enemy, you can pretty much just jump onto an enemy, just like spin them around, like, and just throw them at other enemies, which is really rad. Anyways, here is another side quest boss fight who shows up like in the main story, and I did a little kooky thing here where pretty much at the very start of this fight, I go into first person mode, and then when it zooms out, it completely like screwed up like the motion blur. Like, it's like, just look at this, it's like the motion blur is all whacked out, and it's pretty fun to see. It's like a beta version of the game where they decided that motion blur was cool. But yeah, it's just like, man, look at this. Now this guy actually has one of the harder attacks to Tiger Drop for me, so I only really do it in this first fight with him. In the next fight, I find another way to deal with like that big super mode he does, because there is other ways to like knock him out of it, which is pretty funny. Like, you don't just have to Tiger Drop them. You could do a heat action to knock them out of him. You could like pretty much go do a wall attack on them. Any wall attack will do, like the square, triangle, or like grab you can do. You can pretty much knock them out with all that. Anyways, here is Satoshi Shioya, who once again, another group fight. Though to be fair, this is not the most infamous group fight he has. He has a much bigger one coming up later on. But yeah, for this one, not too hard. And oh yeah, I didn't really get into the specifics of what I do with the groups. So like yeah, like I was saying, usually just kind of like I don't know, like you always want to make sure that the boss fight isn't chasing you down. Like the normal enemies aren't that big of a threat unless they have a gun, but that doesn't come until way later. Like the biggest threat in any group fight really is the boss fight. But though to be fair, if the group is really massive, you do want to watch out slightly for them, but they're not that big of a deal. Especially when your combos like cover like so much ground that they're bound to hit like every enemy and interrupt them from doing anything to you, unless they block you. Because well, I will say another great thing this game fixed from Yakuza 6 and Kiwami 2 is enemies blocking your attacks. It's not 100% fixed, like it's still pretty annoying. Like, you know, sometimes when you attack an enemy that's blocking, you'll like be stunned for a minute and you can't do anything for like 1 or 2 seconds, which is very important when an enemy's about to attack you, or when a boss fight can retaliate faster than you have access to dodge them just because they blocked your attack. That is extremely annoying. Like that thing still exists. However, there is ways around it. And well, to be fair, most of the ways around it is to use the tiger style, because the tiger style, like pretty much, like yeah, I mean, like it's kind of weird how you know you press like square and it releases 2 punches. But the great thing about it is that it breaks guards. Like sometimes like your first hit will maybe like hit them, and then your second hit will break their guard. So instead of like bouncing off of their guard, you're constantly breaking it, which pretty much like lets you do some pretty cool stuff later on. Like the breaking their guard is actually a very important technical thing you need to be like familiar with, because like it informs on whether you can do a combo or not. Like okay, so remember in the beginning when I was talking about my square, triangle style switch, jump over the enemy, hit him with a like square attack and then square, you know, full combo with crane? Like remember what I was talking about that? Well, to make sure that the enemy isn't going to retaliate when you do that, because you know sometimes the enemy will just super armor you when you're doing a combo, and that isn't like reactable a lot of the time. But pretty much the way you deal with that is to pretty much, you have to make sure that, you know, when you're using tiger and you're doing, you know, square, triangle, you have to make sure that your first 2 square attacks are breaking their guard, because if they're not, then that means that they're probably just going to retaliate after. Okay, you see, he's going to enter his big like super mode, but I was attacking him while he was doing it, and then I jump on the wall, grab him, heat action. That is a very smooth way to react to his attacks. But yeah, like look at that. Like they sometimes like, oh, this guy is pretty unique because he has like that big like guard break thing animation where he just goes whoa, and then goes super mode. But yeah, you just want to watch out. Oh yeah, sometimes I'm gonna go into like extreme heat mode because it has access to some pretty unique heat actions, not just for like its invincibility. I did not need invincibility to fight this guy. But yeah, once this guy's in heat mode, he is troublesome to deal with. So you just mostly want to stick to heat attacks. Like, yeah, whenever a boss fight gets like troublesome to deal with, it's just best to either stick to heat attacks or tiger drops. But to be fair, relying on tiger drops isn't really important until the final fight, which is kind of like Tiger Drop City. But we'll get to him when we get to him. So anyway, this fight's pretty unimportant, but I decided to include it because it's like the only fight we have when we're exploring like the past of Yagami. Like there's this one section of the game where we're like exploring his past, and since it's his past, we're super underpowered. And when you're super underpowered, you're slow, you don't have a dodge, like your dodge is really ineffective. So I'm just gonna rely on extreme heat mode to take care of these guys. Like yeah, immediately after I do that attack, I was able to switch. And yeah, that guy just hit me, but you know, I'm extreme heat mode, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, here we're gonna fight our homie Kaito, and yeah, so yeah, Kaito's a great character. You know, you would assume he would kind of be like a I don't know, like a Rikia or like a Nagumo. Like Rikia's a great character, Nagumo not so much. Yeah, Nagumo's from Yakuza 6, because you know, kind of like, oh, here's this like guy, you know, he's strong but he's dumb and he's devoted to the main character because you know a lot with friends or whatever. Nah. But this guy's actually like chill and cool. Like you know, he's not like the smartest guy, but he's not like stupid. Like he's actually like pretty smart. You know, he's a great friend. And I think that's just like, it was really refreshing to see, because I don't know, I thought he was going to be a little bit more of a tropey character, but he really isn't. So that was really refreshing to see. So here I activate my extreme heat mode for no reason, because I don't know how to use it. Like, okay, so I'm pretty sure there was an attack I could do with that extreme heat mode, but I don't think I unlocked it, because I did not unlock all the moves in this game. Like, I unlocked practically everything. Like, if there was like 49 moves I could have unlocked, I think I unlocked like 46 of them. Okay, so I did this like little thing which Yagami took from Akiyama. This is like a heat action Akiyama could do in Yakuza 5, though a little more sparingly, because it was tied to like a red heat thing, which was a little annoying, but still, Yagami can pretty much do it whenever an enemy's stunned, which is extremely useful. Because I don't know, the way you can stun enemies is like, well, first you can pretty much do like this guard break thing where pretty much you like, oh yeah, great thing about Tiger is you can actually charge up your like heavy attacks to deal more damage, or for special properties, because sometimes if you charge up like your first heavy attack and the enemy is guarding, you actually like break the guard and stun them. And once you have them stunned, you can pretty much like, you know, keep a distance, and then, oh look, yeah, Kaito just kicked me across the room, dude. I mean, like, you know, that got me away from the enemies. I gotta appreciate that, but still, man, like, kind of rude. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, if you charge up like your first heavy attack with your Tiger style, you can pretty much just like break the enemy's guard and send them across the room, well, and then keep them stunned. And once you have them stunned, you can pretty much do it like a flux fixture and pretty much just like knock them away, or you can do that special little heat action. But another way to stun enemies sometimes is just to, well, pretty much do a wall attack, like, you know, just jump off the wall and press square, and that can stun them sometimes. And so yeah. Yeah, but the most effective way to do it is like that Tiger thing, where you pretty much just press square, hold down triangle, and as long as they're like guarding, then you're gonna stun them guaranteed. And that is extremely useful for some of the more difficult fights. Okay, so this fight I hated, so I kind of just mostly use extreme heat mode to avoid it. But it's pretty much like this, like pretty much a little event we have to perfect. You have to protect Mafuyu, if that's how you pronounce it. And there really isn't much to say. It's just like these two guys, like pretty much go for combo here, just kind of like do a thing, jump over him, and. And this guy just has a really annoying moveset to deal with. It's like the fast, like Yakuza moveset when the enemy is really skilled at what they do, and it's just not that fun to fight, especially in the Dragon Engine. So there is that. Oh yeah, but I haven't really fully explained how I handle groups in this game, at least like the groups which like I'm trying to like no damage and all that. So like in the beginning I'll try to like fight them normally, you know, just kind of combo them, run, keep my distance. But then once the fight enters the second phase, when, you know, when the boss fight enters heat mode, or when the boss fight calls more enemies, that's when I activate extreme heat mode, because I just think it's really rad that like I begin the fight normally, struggling for my life, and then once the boss fight calls like his goons, it's like, nah, heat mode time, let's destroy him. So this is an example of where I do exactly that. So yeah, in the beginning what I do is like square, square, triangle, to pretty much like, you know, because I'm square, square, triangle with like both styles, pretty much have these leg sweep moves which just cover a ton of ground and hit most of the enemies. And then once I do that, style switch, do the combo, style switch, do the combo. However, you know, once I realize that the boss fight is like actually active and ready to kill me, that's when I start running and start looking for my chances to do heat action. So here, you can sometimes jump over an enemy doing heat action. So sometimes if you do that when you're close to an enemy, and if you jump over their back, you can actually do a little like crowd heat action where you take out 3 guys. However, most of the time when you jump over an enemy, it'll be a solo heat action where you just take them out. And that's still super useful, you know, just running around, running, and then let's just jump over this guy and knock him out. And then from here, look at that, the crowd has been diminished greatly, though I will say, oh, look at that couch, though. That dude just threw a couch. Isn't that crazy? But yeah, I don't know. However, one thing I forgot to mention is that your AI partners in this game are insanely good. Like, I don't know, like, I mean, in Kiwami too, they could be pretty useful, but these guys are destroyers. They could kill boss fights, and they do kill boss fights for me sometimes. Like, they are just insanely good. However, sometimes it's really annoying when I'm trying to no damage the fight. I take damage by accident, and then my AI partners kill the boss fight before I'm done with them. Like, this fight in particular was horrible for me, because I would, like, you know, be no damaging the fight, I take damage, I have to wait for my health bar to go down, and then my AI partner just suddenly kills the boss fight without, like, my consent, and then I have to redo the entire level over just to get to this fight. And the worst part about it is that I did it 3 times! I died 3 times. No. Like, my partners killed the boss fight 3 times while I took damage, waiting to die, and it's like, man, come on. And I guess that kind of brings me over to this game's health system. So, at the top of the screen here, you might see that my health bar has these red cracks in it. Why is that? Well, to retain my sanity. So pretty much this game has this system where, okay, so your health bar normally would be all green, right? But then at a certain point, like, enemies could have these attacks. So you know how boss fights have, like, you know, their, like, retaliation thing where they all get all glowy and perform a super move? Well, that super move can crack your health bar, like you're seeing up there. So, you know, if you, like, make a mistake and crack your health bar there, then yeah, you're gonna end up, like, getting a health bar cracked. You're gonna have a shorter health bar, you're not gonna have much health. However, there's other things that can crack your health bar too, like enemies with guns. If they shoot you with a gun, that will crack your health bar. However, the reason I crack my health bar is to get my health shorter, so that the boss fight can kill me quicker, so that, you know, there's less chance of, say, the boss fight dying to my AI partner. But hey, check out this heat action though. I gotta say, Crane is super useful when, like, dealing with crowds, because, like, I mean, to be fair, I mean, a lot of people, like, don't really like Crane because it's not as powerful as Tiger, and yeah, it's not as powerful as Tiger. Like, you know, when it comes to, like, choosing between the styles, like, Tiger has a billion more advantages than Crane. Crane is super underpowered, like, when it comes to, like, comparisons. However, to be fair, like, you're most effective in this game when you're switching between the styles, so it's kind of like a non-issue for me. But to be fair, I do wish they would have better balanced the styles, because it would have been nice if, like, you know, there was actual, like, more reason to, like, use Crane individually than Tiger. But to be fair, I think there is a few advantages Crane has over Tiger, and that's when it comes to crowds, because you have more dodge canceling capabilities with Crane. Because you can pretty much, like, with your light attacks, you can pretty much just, like, touch them, dodge, touch them, dodge. With your light attacks, you can pretty much dodge at any point as long as they don't block you, because if they block you, you're pretty much stuck in, like, place for, like, 1 or 2 seconds. Very annoying stuff, which the Dragon Ninja would get rid of that, you know, whatever, dude. But yeah, Crane, you know, sometimes when, like, you know, like you saw, like, in this fight, like, there'll be times where like all the enemies around the boss fight will have really low health, so I pretty much don't need to do much to take them out. I pretty much need to tap, you know, tap, dodge, you know, tap, dodge, you know, like, keeping a nice rhythm, keeping myself away from the enemy. Very nice. So here is a side quest boss fight where this kid wants you to kill these Yakuza. However, he's called Captain Cop, so, you know, we're all good. Not much to this fight, just kind of, you know, another pretty basic group fight for a little side quest battle, you know, like, oh, there's a guy with a gun, though, you gotta watch out for that guy, but besides that, not much to it. Oh yeah, but this does remind me, your dodge in this game, like, normally, I don't like the dodge that much. However, this game's dodge, I would say, is an improvement over Yakuza 6 and Kiwami 2's dodge, because your dodge in this game actually, like, has a ton of iframes. Like, your dodge in Yakuza 6 and Kiwami 2 also had, like, some iframes, but they weren't much, to be safe. In this game, they're everything. Like, your iframes in this game are just, like, kind of ridiculous. Like, I mean, like, dodging normally, it feels, like, kind of delayed. Like, your dodge feels a bit slow. Like, it doesn't feel as responsive as, say, the Yakuza 6 or Kiwami 2 one, but this dodge doesn't feel like it gravitates towards the enemy, which is a big improvement. And, well, just with a ton of iframes you have, you pretty much just need to spam the dodge whenever you're in danger. You'll pretty much be good most of the time. Anyways, here's another side quest battle. This guy, you see, the joke is that he likes food a lot and he's fat. Please laugh. However, with this guy's super mode, I do not know how to counter his attack, so I'm just going to use my own super mode to counter his super mode, because my super mode has a heat action, which will pretty much damage him. And once I do this heat action, I'll switch to the other style to do another heat action. That'll deal insane damage and pretty much just get this guy completely out of commission. And oh yeah, the great thing is that once they're doing their super mode, they'll actually take damage. Like, you know, when they're taunting, when they're about to go into it, you don't deal any damage to them. But when they're about to do the attack, or when they're doing the attack, when you're attacking them, it deals damage. So they're pretty much like, you pretty much have like, you know, 2 or 3 seconds where they're just standing around doing nothing to attack them. And if you can do like, you know, some pretty good damage and get out of there quickly, you know, either with a heat action or with a dodge, then you can pretty much just destroy them while they're doing that. Oh, check out this heat action. So yeah, that heat action I'm pretty sure you can only do when you're in extreme heat mode. So, you know, pretty cool. Oh yeah, and now I'm just remembering that this video is 1 hour and 49 minutes. Please pray for my vocal cords to like stand, man. Like, this is, I am gonna be very tired of talking after I'm done with this video. Anyways, oh, here is one of the coolest fights in the game, and well, look at it. Yeah, I forgot to mention, like, this guy's theme is awesome. Like, it was awesome in the first fight you have him, but now he has a huge group. He has this awesome like setting, which kind of reminds me a lot of like a fighting Kenzin. This just looks amazing. Love it. However, I will say, I guess now I'll get to the boss fights reusing movesets. To my knowledge, this guy, you know, Higashi has an original moveset, but, you know, don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure on which boss fights movesets are original or not, because sometimes they can look a little similar. And to be fair, the way you tackle boss fights in this game, you don't really want to be seeing their movesets, because I don't know, like, the ideal like way to deal with the boss fights is to pretty much just, like, kind of like stun lock them in a sense. Like, how do I explain it? Like, so, like, I don't know, with most of the easier boss fights, you know, in the beginning, like, you're gonna notice this mostly when I'm like tackling an enemy one-on-one, because, you know, when we're dealing with them with groups, or when I'm dealing with a boss fight and I have an AI partner, sometimes the AI partner will attack at the wrong time, ruining like my combos, which have a very specific reason to like go the way they go. And when an AI partner just suddenly interrupts them, like, you know, making the enemy like retaliate faster, like, you know, it's very difficult to deal with. Like, look, like, Kaito, please stop. I'm trying to like do a cool combo here, but you keep interrupting it. Come on, man. Like, I love you, but you're too good. Higashi goes into his attack super quickly, so, you know, you just want to be prepared to tiger drop that immediately. And, you know, the great thing is, you know, tiger drop, run up to them, heat action. Pretty cool. So yeah, pretty much like most of the time when you're dealing with these one-on-one enemies, you're pretty much like stun locking them every time they try to get up, because when they're trying to get up, they will block your attack. However, if you use Tiger, when they block your attack, you're just going to break it, and that pretty much just leads to you doing like your big combo. There's a ton of stuff you can do when an enemy's trying to get up. Like, I mean, you can do, like, you know, once the enemy's trying to get up, just immediately go into square, square, triangle, triangle, switch, you know, switch styles, try to jump over them, or, you know, square, square, triangle, triangle with tiger, switch to another style, grab them if you're near a wall for a heat action, or, you know, square, square, triangle, triangle, jump over, you know, switch your styles, jump over them, do a heat action, or, you know, jump over them, you know, throw them, you know, like, there's just a ton of stuff you can do, like, bam, bam. And there's also other things you can do besides just square, square, triangle, triangle, tiger. When they're trying to get up, you can do square, triangle, triangle for a heat action. which, you know, or, you know, when they're trying to get up square, triangle, triangle, you know, you launch them into the air, switch styles, go for a juggle combo. There's just a ton of stuff you do. Oh, this is actually gonna end them. Check this out. Now, if you saw there in my heat mode, like, I didn't get hit until like the very end where I accidentally did a quick step attack and he hit me. But with that tiny fragment of heat, I did that heat action with my boy Kaito to end that guy. Anyways, we're gonna deal with this guy who the joke is, hey, he is very fat and he eats a lot of food. Do you think that's funny? I think it's really funny. But yeah, anyways, for this guy, he can be pretty troublesome. However, guess what? We're still going to juggle him because, to my knowledge, you can pretty much juggle every single enemy in the game. Even while it's inconsistent, you can juggle everyone in this game to a certain extent. Though I'm not sure if you can juggle everyone in heat mode, though I do think it's possible. I've seen it before. Like, the reason this guy's like troublesome is because like his super armor can kind of come in at weird times, and you know, when you're attacking him, he'll suddenly interrupt you. You do not want that. So yeah, here's me using a heat action, the taunting heat action, while you're trying to attack to pretty much kind of get past that mode and just move on. Yeah, look at that. Like when I'm trying to get up, do a combo there, then immediately do a heat action to take him out. Oh yeah, another thing which like the reason style switching is like super useful is because, you know, the styles have different heat actions for pretty similar actions. Like, so pretty much, you know, like there's a heat action you do, you can grab an enemy, like bring them near a wall, and then you can do a heat action there. However, with the two styles have two different variations of this, and the two different variations of this, you know, deal like damage. Because they're two different actions, they'll deal the same damage. You know, because this game has a system where, you know, if you repeat a heat action over and over, it'll deal less damage. You know, like the first time it'll deal big damage, but if you repeat it, you know, if you're a little unoriginal and keep relying on the same move, then, you know, it's not going to deal as much damage. However, you know, even though it's like the same like wall like attack, like heat action, you know, if you do it with a different style, it's a different action, so it's still going to deal that big damage. So, you know, like switching between the styles to do that is extremely useful. To be fair, this doesn't apply to everything. Like if you jump over an enemy, like, you know, your like heat action there is going to be the exact same no matter which style you use. So it doesn't apply to everything, but it does apply to a couple things. You know, keep that in mind if, you know, you want fights to go by quickly, if, you know, you just want to destroy boss fights, you know, keep a good variety of heat actions. To be fair, you have a ton of like great heat actions at your disposal, so, you know, there's definitely a ton to use, but just keep that in mind. Anyways, this fight isn't really a boss fight, but I include it because you know, Yagami here just looks really cool in his gold suit. Gotta let him flex for a bit. Alright, so here's the reason like I got a Chinese copy of the game is because of Hamura here. He's the guy in the white coat. So in the original version of this game, when this game was first coming out, Pierre Taki, if that's how you pronounce his name, hopefully, was gonna play him. He was pretty much like Hamura's gonna be a mocapped actor, and it was gonna be Pierre Taki. This guy also voice acted Olaf in the Japanese dub of Frozen, and, you know, he's done a couple other things. And he pretty much got removed from the game at a certain point because he was found possessing cocaine. And well, in Japan, if you have cocaine, that pretty much like ruins your entire career. If you have any drug, that pretty much like is a career killer. And pretty much he immediately got booted from the game. He got replaced with someone else. Like, they didn't mocap someone else, but they got a different voice actor. They changed his model, and pretty much like the replacement's good, but, you know, like I was like, wait, hold up. If they're gonna like replace this guy, I better get a copy of, like, you know, the game where they actually have him fast, because that might go up in price quickly. And also, I just wanted to see the original guy's performance, because, you know, like, I didn't want that to be lost media or whatever. And I guess in that sense, I gotta say, I kind of respect the team, because what they did was pretty much the original copies of, like, the game, you know, in Japan, China, and Korea, they pretty much kept the actor in, but they released, like, new copies which removed the actor. Like, any new copies of the game pretty much, like, had the new guy. And, well, the English version of the game pretty much came out way after this controversy, so you pretty much got the new guy guaranteed. But me, I want to fight the original guy. I want to no damage him. So this is why the game, I am not playing the English version. Though I will say, I highly recommend you play the English version. It's not that big of a difference. And you're going to enjoy the game a lot more if you're playing it in English. Just saying. Like, I don't know. I was actually planning on, like, playing this game once it hit PC. Because I really wanted to play this game at 60 FPS. Because, man, this game does not run well. I think this is probably like the worst running Dragon Engine game, but to be fair, I haven't played 6 in a long while. But I swear this game at points runs way worse than 6. And to be fair, like, interesting thing about the Dragon Engine is that Yakuza 6 may still be the best looking Dragon Engine game, but like the reason it's the best looking is it's so like graphic intensive that, like, you know, it had to like sacrifice a ton of other things. Like the anti-aliasing in Yakuza 6 is horrible, just because I think they were pushing the graphics on the PS4 so hard. Like, to be fair, it's not even like Yakuza 6 is like a genre, like, no, it's like a generation-defining graphical like achievement. But like, you know, it's like pushing the envelope with, like, in its series. There's visuals, so like the future Dragon Engine games kind of like downscaled a couple things just for it to run better. Like, I don't know, Kiwami 2, I don't know exactly what it downscaled, but you know, it just kind of looks worse in general because they added the ugly green filter. And also because a lot of the animations were copied from the PS2 and shoving them to PS4 model doesn't look nice. Looks pretty whack, all things considered. But, and then there's Judgment here, which, to be fair, I think looks pretty dope. Though I will say, like, a few things are a little off. Like, I don't know, something about the QTE animations, like, strike me a bit wrong. Like, I don't know, the heat actions actually look amazing. Like, one issue, like, I kind of had with Yakuza 6 and Kiwami 2, that sometimes the heat actions just look a little weird and don't have the same impact they had in the previous games. But, like, here, I don't know what they did, but they got them right. Like, when you deal with heat action in this game, you feel that impact. It's like, it's just like, I think they got, like, the feel like the older games, like, you know, like Yakuza 0, Kiwami 2, like that impact. They got it right in this one. However, I don't know, one thing about the QTs is just that, I don't know, sometimes like the momentum and spacing of them just is kind of off. Like, sometimes an enemy will do like a big move in a really confined space, and it's like, wait, how did they do that? It just reads wrong to me. Anyways, here is Cane Man, who's a pretty cool guy. However, to my knowledge, this guy's moveset is just copying one of the final boss fights in Yakuza 6. So, you know, it kind of lame. You know, like, I mean, I guess the reason, like, the reusing boss fight movesets annoys me in this game is that, like, this is supposed to be a brand new game, a brand new IP, you know, something which is nothing like Yakuza. But then, you know, you play it and it's like most of the boss fights are just copied from Yakuza. Like, it's not even like a Kiwami situation where it's like, oh, it's a remake, it's a cheap remake, you know, like, you know, whatever. It's just like a different version to a different way to experience the originals. Nope, this is a brand new game. Why are they still doing this? Like, it's just like they're still taking shortcuts, even though this is supposed to be new, man. Come on. So anyways, here I'm showing off just like how much you can abuse enemies when they're trying to get up from the ground. And it's because you don't really want to like do something where, like, you know, you react to an enemy's attacks, because sometimes, like, well, after they're done with a combo, they can still like retaliate. So it's like, you don't want to deal with that. The best way to deal with these guys is when they're trying to get up, because, you know, you can stun lock them, do a bunch of combos, just do a whole bunch of different stuff. Like the Cane Man fight here is a textbook like example of just how to deal with like boss fights on like 1v1s. And here I got super lucky because, like, I mean, like, jumping in from the back is a different heat action from jumping in front of them. And I somehow was able to jump over the back of him just because I got really lucky. Oh yeah, I never explained this about Flux Fixture. So, like, I did mention that you pretty much need to stun the enemy first to perform Flux Fixture. Because, you know, if you don't stun the enemy, if you do like a combo and then try to do Flux Fixture, what will usually happen is they'll guard your like first square attack, and when you try to go for the big palm strike, they'll also block that. and that's the reason you want to stun them, because once you have them stunned, you can do the flux fixture without like breaking their guard. You can pretty much just go into it immediately. However, if you hit them while they're stunned, they'll recover, so that when you try to go for the palm strike, they'll either block it or dodge it. So pretty much want to like build a bit of distance. When the enemy's stunned, you want to build a bit of distance so that when you do your first like square attack, it doesn't hit them. So when you do your first palm strike, you know, when you're about to go for the big flux fixture, that's the first thing that hits them, because that's what you want. However, there's plenty of ways. There's also some other ways to like kind of speed up the process of flux fixture, which I'm not skilled enough to do. Like, so there's one thing you could do. You could do like a quick step attack and then immediately like kind of turn around and go for the flux fixture. The quick step attack, you can like charge up super fast. So you can just, you know, like, I mean, your big like square attack, that takes like a little bit of time. It's like, you know, 1, 2. However, with a quick step attack, you can do, you know, 1, immediately go into your flux fixture. However, that's like a bit of weird like spacing thing, which I'm just not used to. Because now pretty much you would have to like remove your lock on for a bit and trust your like control of the control stick to pretty much guide you. Because pretty much like, you know, you attack behind you with like a quick step attack and then, you know, immediately like do a complete 180 to like, you know, pretty much hit the enemy. Wait, actually, it's not a quick step attack exactly as you do. It's the attack you do when you're like attacking behind you. You do like a quick, like, you know, like behind you punch, and that punch is really fast, so you can pretty much go into the flux fixture immediately. But it's a complete 180, you know, like 180 through the other direction. Then you have to do another 180 to hit him with the palm strike. You know, it's a little hard to do in the heat of the moment, and when the camera angle isn't consistent. So, you know, it's something which I tend to avoid. So, I don't know, doing the square and then the palm strike usually works for me. Anyways, this boss fight is copying Saito's moveset, and he has a couple animations from Kuze's like pipe like fight. So there is that. Now, Saito in Yakuza 4 could be pretty annoying to deal with, but he had this one move that you could reliably like exploit, where he pretty much like runs at you and jumps, and you pretty much just dodge that and like destroy him. However, here, like dodging enemy attacks like that just doesn't work. Like, you could probably like dodge it, but you couldn't really retaliate afterwards reliably. Like, I mean, Saejima against Saito, like every time he did like that running attack, he could indeed like immediately go for a combo after that. Anyways, I'm gonna tiger drop that real quick, you know, pretty nice. But yeah, like most of the time you could go for a full combo as Saejima, you know, as long as you don't do a charge attack every time he did that. But here with Saito, you can't really do that. But he doesn't do that attack to my knowledge. However, he does attack extremely quickly. So any fight with like this guy, you know, he's not called Saito in this game, but he might as well be Saito. He's wearing a similar uniform as him. You know, he's using a baton like him, but this time it's electric. But he's got a different name, Mashikito? Mashiko? I forget, man. I don't know. Anyways, this time I decided to include an entire level just because the Saito guy shows up again in this one, and while I was trying to no damage him specifically, I just no damage this entire thing, and this thing's only like 3 minutes long overall, so I decided, hey, look, why not include it? And then I realized that decisions like this might have been the reason why this video is 1 hour and 49 minutes. I'm sorry, I don't know how this video ended up so long, because like I'm looking at like I'm not the first person to like no damage all the boss fights in Judge Eyes or Judgment, whichever title you prefer, though I vastly prefer Judge Eyes because I think it's cooler. I'm not the first person to do it. Like, this is another YouTuber who actually like no damaged all the boss fights in this game and made a big video. I might be the first to do commentary. I don't have it. But anyways, so yeah, beyond that, like other people have done this, and like the maximum like they've gotten to is like an hour. So I'm just kind of over here sitting, how am I sitting at 2 hours? Like, I did include a lot of like the really like side questy battles. I guess there's that, but then there's just other things. Like, what am I doing here? Like, I mean, another video I saw is one that just includes all the boss fights without no damaging, and that video is like 3 hours, but I think that's just because like they included all the cutscenes with the boss fights, which I don't do, though I do include a cute little cutscene later on, and also I include this level here, so there is that. So here, because it's a level, I just want to destroy Saito here as fast as possible, because I don't like dealing with him. Oh yeah, when they're about to go into like their super mode, like, you know, if you try to juggle them, you won't be able to. You'll like pretty much have your attacks bounced off. Oh yeah, if you want to see like what I mean by I don't like how you react when enemies like block your attacks, just watch how your attacks bounce off the enemy when they're like doing like their super attack. That's what I'm talking about. I don't like how that feels. I think it's horrible. Please get rid of that. Though I don't think they will, because I think like that's what they want, and I don't like what they want. Anyways, here, check it out. He got the red glow, but not in this cutscene though. That guy's called Shono, by the way, just thought I'd let you know. So anyways, I decided to include practically this whole level, because practically this whole level is just fights with this guy. And by fights with this guy, I mean he just copies a bunch of other movesets, and most of them are really annoying to deal with. It's like, man, come on, I like fighting like, you know, the Yakuza 6 final boss. I don't like fighting every single other thing you throw at me. Ah! So here we're fighting a Nishitani's moveset from Yakuza 0, and in the Dragon Engine he is a huge nuisance to deal with, man. Like, get away from me, I do not like you. Because like his super armors, it comes out at strange points, his attacks really fast. He has a get up animation, which only him and the final boss have. Well, to be fair, with the final boss it's fun, but with this guy, and not so much. And your climax heat action, how do you counter that? It's a grab. Like, I mean, I do know that grabs are possible to like counter, but like look at that. I do not see the timing with that. I would have to see someone Tiger drop that to like actually know if it's like possible. I just don't see how you could. So there is that. Anyways, we're moving on to the next Crane Man fight. Wait, Crane? No, Kane. He uses a cane for every single one of his phases. And here he copies a spear moveset, and he's just not fun to deal with because spear enemies in the Dragon Engine are just not cool. Thankfully, in the beginning of a fight, you can pretty much just combo an enemy because their defenses are all really down. So that's cool. But yeah, like the super armor with these like spear enemies is really strange. And once they have a spear, every time they attack you with it, you're like stunned in place. To be fair, like the point is I do not want to get attacked, period, but still, like, annoying. Don't like them. Please don't bring this back. I mean, his heat mode, like, I mean, I'm sure there's a way to Tiger drop it, but I do not know the timing for it, so I did not. Oh yeah, but thanks to my AI partner here for just straight up dealing the damage to the enemy while I had him grab trying to do a heat action, but he got out of it, but he still kept attacking. Respect. Oh yeah, and also I guess when you're near a wall and do like the wall thing, if they're near you, you can do a heat action. And the heat action is different if you have a different style. So once again, you know, switch between your styles for maximum efficiency. And for variety and all that.
Koi Yagami!
Now, how exactly does that work? How did he turn a cane into a shotgun? How does that work? But anyways, this is the worst fight out of all the Cane Man fights, so I did not even bother trying to play fair. We're going to go immediately into my super heat mode to just completely demolish this gun moveset, because Like when he has the shotgun and you're attacking him, he will block most of your things. And then like his retaliation is immediate. You can't react to it. And I'm not even gonna mess around because like shotgun enemies in the Yakuza series, they do not like to telegraph. And even if they do, I'm not even gonna risk it because I do not trust them. So we're just gonna destroy this guy pronto. I'm not messing with this. Like all my bad memories of the second to last fight in Yakuza 3's like shotgun phase, not gonna deal with that. And as you can see there, he dealt a full shotgun blast to my back while I was in extreme heat mode. Oh yeah, one thing which you should know about extreme heat mode is that while you're attacking extreme heat mode and it runs out, if you're still attacking, it hasn't run out yet. So you can pretty much like artificially, well, extend like your like moment in heat mode just by continuing to attack. So just, you know, keep that in mind. It's a useful tactic.
遅かったな。待ちくたびれたぜ。
杉浦、僕のことはいいから、八神さんはカイトさんを
行かせると思うか。
So here is the final Man fight, and he has a pretty annoying gimmick. We have to turn on a light switch before you can actually like run in the fight or like target him effectively. Like that light switch is right behind you, but when you're first starting out, like Man here will just run up and wreck you. So anyways, he's using the dual pipes, and I actually forget who originated like the dual pipes fighting style. Like I mean, it's the dual pipe, but I forget exactly who was the first person to like use them. Like Hayashi used dual pipes in like Yakuza 2, but I don't know if like this moveset is 100% like taken from the original 2. I think they like added to it in like another game, but I forget exactly who used them to their best effect. But I mean, if you want to make this easy, you could just say, you know, he's copying Hayashi from Kiwami 2, but Hayashi in Kiwami 2 is copying someone else. He might be copying a little bit of himself from the original 2, but there's like another enemy who had the dual pipes. I forget who, but yeah, really annoying to deal with in the Dragon Engine, because I don't know, I guess when I'm playing Kiwami 2, like once again, like yeah, Dragon Engine like dealing with movesets is extremely annoying, but that isn't really much of an issue when I'm like using my quick step like spam strategy, because that's the only fun thing that's one of the only fun things I like to do in that game, because I do not like playing it normally, because it's just not fun, not all that fun. And well, if I ever no damage Yakuza 6, I'm gonna have to figure out how exactly to play normally, because that is the way to play in that game. Well, I mean, you could also abuse like extreme heat mode, but abusing extreme heat mode most of the time will just give you damage. Even though you'll stay alive, you'll take damage, so you know. And you can't really like do a thing where you get rid of all your health and only have heat, because every time you die in the Dragon Engine, you regain all your heat. And there's no enemies in Yakuza, and there's no like items in Yakuza 6 which should lower your health bar. Same thing here in Judgment or Judge Eyes. There's like in the Dragon Engine games, there's just no items which lower your health bar, which I think is a stupid decision. Why did you get rid of that? Like in Yakuza 6 and Kiwami 2, they got rid of that because now like those items like lower your hunger gauge, so that you can eat more for experience or whatever. And like, okay, that was a dumb thing. Like, I mean, I like Yakuza 6 and Kiwami 2's like upgrade systems, because you could like choose all the cool moves without upgrading like your attack or heat power. But like the main source of your XP being eating, like not feeling that. Judge Eyes here has a much better system. I really like it. I think it has all the benefits of Yakuza 6 and Kiwami 2's like system without the having to eat all the time. Anyways, here is Hamura's like solo fight, and I just completely demolish him. Like first we start off by going for a full like tiger combo at the beginning. This is not as like consistent as doing a full like crane combo, because that will always hit. Sometimes like they'll try to dodge the tiger combo, but this guy, he tried to dodge, I still hit him in the air, and I went for that sweet juggle. Now this part of the fight isn't as effective. Like I went for a grab, the little grab combo, you know, like, you know, whatever, cool. But like then like I try to attack him or something, but I did a little kick and then I had to block his attack. But from here we're going a lot more effective. I did a heat action where I did, you know, square, bounce, and then from there I do like my little square, triangle, jump over the enemy, do a combo. But I pretty much hit at the health point where we hit the QTE, and this QTE is pretty awesome, but it's also a little weird. Like, okay, like that makes sense, but like then like the kicks there have like a ton of impact like out of nowhere. And how do you do that flip to go out of the chair, man? I gotta see some like real people do this, man. I mean, like something that's a little off, but that's a pretty dope QT, no lie. So now he goes Shrek mode here, tries to tiger drop me. No, I tiger drop him back. Heat mode, baby. And here is like one little mistake I do, which isn't all that detrimental, because it's like, you know, I deal less damage if I repeat a heat action, but it still deals quite a bit of damage. And then from there, I'm going to go for some more original things, do that, switch my mode. Instead of going for a combo, I do a heat action, which a ton of damage. And then this guy's going to try to get up, try to punch me, trying to get like a comeback game. Bah, get out of here. Nah, that's it. Destroyed. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, so this game upgrades. So your attack upgrades are a lot more simple than they are in Yakuza 6 and Kiwami 2, and I'd say this is for the betterment of this game because I don't know, like upgrading like a stat, you know, from 100 to 200 is like it's weird. In this game, you pretty much have like a pretty linear like attack upgrade thing where you have level 1 attack, level 2 attack, level 3 attack. So you could either not level up your attack at all and pretty much start with a base attack, level up to attack level 1, level up to attack level 2, or level up to attack level 3. Now through my entire video, my attack is at level 1 because, like, I don't know, your base attack like is a little too low, but this level 1 here is just right. However, level 2 and level 3 is way too much, so I just completely avoided it because I did not want this game to be a complete cakewalk. But yeah, level 1 here is just a nice cozy middle ground. But I will say, I guess one thing I do really like about the Dragon Engine is that a lot of their fights can have these cool little particle effects, like having fire in the background and having all this cool stuff. Like, I mean, I don't know, like all this really ambitious stuff didn't happen all that much in like the previous games. So I gotta say, you know, props there. Now this guy I've avoided tiger dropping for quite some time, but it's about time for a comeback, baby. And speaking of comebacks, we're gonna bring another thing back. So here I'm just trying to build up heat, just trying to, you know, get him to my zone. But you know, this guy's super armor, pretty hard to deal with. You don't want to mess with him too much. So there's only one other thing to do. That punch was so strong, he bounced off the walls like a wall. Well, no. He bounced off the fire like a wall. That's what I wanted to say. Okay, anyways, here is the final, like, side quest boss fight. This guy's, you know, the evil guy in the business suit. And he's also easily the most annoying out of all of them because his second phase is horrible. And like his second phase, he pulls out guns, and then he has like this weird super armor. His attacks don't register as attacks, so you can't do the taunt heat action anymore with him when he like uses his guns, because apparently guns are not an attack. So it's like, okay. Oh yeah, I guess the one weird thing about that heat action is I do kind of wish it hit enemies though, because you know you're like launching him towards something, so no, why not launch him towards enemies? So in this first phase, he's copying Richardson from Yakuza 3, except he's not fun like he was in Yakuza 3, because, man, what is it with that guy being super fun in Yakuza 3, but literally in every other game his moveset is copied and he's horrible to deal with? Like, like, I don't know, like, they just, like, I don't know, Yakuza loves doing this thing where they copy that moveset, that exact moveset, except for some reason they give him, like, more super armor, they give him, like, this one thing that makes it super annoying, they put him into, like, a huge crowd, like, they just find ways to make that fight, like, suck ass! And here, they sucks ass because he's in the Dragon Engine, and all that, like, time he uses the super armor in, like, the previous fight, well, is immediate retaliation in this fight, so it's like, man, come on with this, dude. Whack as hell. So, yeah, anyways, this guy's in a group, so I decided to use my extreme heat mode to immediately get rid of him. Once I fight him on my own, I will not be using extreme heat mode. Just, you know, a little hype for something that's going to come in, like, I don't know, maybe 4 minutes, 5 minutes. I forget how long this next fight is. Oh, not that long. So this fight isn't all that much of a boss fight, but I decided to include him because this guy's one of the, like, the main antagonists, like, brought up in chapter 5, and here we're gonna immediately get rid of him. So here's pretty much just my excuse to show off just how much glass I can break and how much I can make the frame rate dip. So hey, check this out. Wait, no, not yet. Yeah, look at that frame rate just go down. Now, to be fair, I don't know if that's the frame rate going down or if that's the game going into extreme slow-mo. It might be a mix of both, but you know, I mean, the game going into slow-mo at least makes it like a little easier to react to things, but I mean, it looks funny because it's like, how can the game run this slow? Oh man, come on. But yeah, I guess like, that kind of reminds me how Yakuza 6, like, textures are like really high, like, detail, but then like in future games, like, you know, Kiwami 2 and Judgment, they have to like kind of lower it a tiny bit just so that the game like runs better. But here it's running worse because there's just so much stuff happening at once. And for Yakuza 6, I hear people say that it actually looks a little worse than Yakuza 6, but it also is going for more cartoony art style. I have to play the game to like fully like compare and see from that. So anyways, for this guy, I go for a unique variation of like my beginning combo where I pretty much go for a full tiger combo, but my last hit, I flux fixture him. This is not consistent, but it is really cool when you pull it off because it deals a ton of that. Look at that, that third health bar is completely gone at this point. And we're pretty much already in the second phase. We completely avoided its first phase, so you know, pretty cool. So yeah, it's going to a second phase. Let's go for a heat action. Bop. So here, ideally, I would want him to do his big attack, but sometimes he doesn't. So you know, you want to watch out. So when he pulls out the guns, he's horrible. Because sometimes he'll do a move like that, which is extremely fast, and you have to react extremely quickly, and your dodge is not that responsive. So you know, like, I mean, while your dodge may have a ton of iframes, which you know, which is the reason why, even though it looked like I got shot, I didn't. Like, you know, it's just, and also when he's getting up, he does that attack, so you have to watch out for that. And sometimes when you're done with the heat action, you're still like recovering from that, and it's like he does that attack out of nowhere, and it just gets you immediately. And yeah, just try, so I'm pretty much like, it's just like fluxure from fixture from here on out, because like, yeah, look, when I'm done with that attack, I'm still recovering, and this guy tries to shoot me. Like, I had to like immediately dodge out of there, spamming that like cross X button like so much. But anyways, yeah, like the reason I wanted him to do like his big little showy attack is just so that I can taunt him. And yeah, if you don't see that he has the guns on him, don't be worried, because he needs to have his guns on him in order to do that attack where he shoots you when he's getting up. Like, if you do not see any guns in his hand, he needs to get up and pull them out. So, you know, just a little like recovery tip there. So anyways, I decided to end it off with the Akiyama swag.
Sugiura! お楽しみの邪魔するんじゃねえ!
あと3分もすりゃこいつは極楽行きさ。
So yeah, anyways, you defeat these two guys, and there's a time limit because like your friend's about to die and all that. So you know, you gotta watch out for that. You know, better hurry up before he chokes out. But anyways, we're gonna end this before it reaches 2 minutes. To my knowledge, I believe that's what happened. So you know, let's just see where this goes. So here I'm experimenting with something where I go for square. My second square attack is like my fixture attack. 'Cause, you know, I was like rationalizing this, like, hey, hold up. Like, you know, if your second like square attack like breaks their guard and your third one like pretty much like is them in their recovery state, couldn't you do something where you do like square and then a second like square and like, you know, if you do like a flux picture after your second square attack, wouldn't that be a third attack? And wouldn't that third attack be hitting them when they're not blocking? Like, you know, you could land a combo like that, right? And you know, you could, but you know, it's like in the beginning there you saw that I didn't, but there I did. So very nice. So yeah, so this next fight is the final fight of this level. And this level is pretty spooky because they have to go through it mostly with a flashlight. And when you have the flashlight in dark areas, you can't run through, so it's like, ooh, scary. And, you know, it's pretty cool, like little dark lighting and all that. You know, like, you know, pretty nice little horror game. Like, hey, you know, the Yakuza team, you know, you're planning something here. You're going for a little different genre bend after Yakuza 7. Like, gonna go for a horror vibe next time. Anyways, so so this guy is pretty scary because he's using the hammer, and the hammer has a ton of super armor. But to be fair, I think I don't really have much of a strategy with like this fight. I just kind of hit him whenever I can, and when he's going for an attack, I avoid him. Like, I don't know, I don't really have like any elaborate way to like screw this guy over. I just kind of hit him whenever I can or hit him when I can't. You know, like, not much to it. Like, he's not all that hard. You know, just hit him when you can and don't hit him when you can. So, you know. So I will say, I guess this does kind of remind me that with crane style, one move that doesn't get used all that much is your square, triangle, triangle, triangle. And I mean, I guess there's good reason for that because like there's like a way better alternatives, you know, like the tiger one and all that. But the crane one's pretty cool because because like square and then that first triangle can knock enemies down. And if the enemy like blocks that like first triangle, the second triangle can break the guard and launch them to the air and do like that cool heat action you can do with Tiger, which, you know, like the square, triangle, triangle, that does a heat action. Well, crane, triangle, triangle also does a heat action. It does the same heat action except you have a blue aura around you. And that blue aura is super cool, so, you know, just something to keep in mind. I think it's pretty rad. Anyways, here's the second Protect Mafuyu like fight. And oh my god. Oh, I hate her, dude. Like, she healed my broken health bar. Dude, I had that health bar cracked for a reason. Why did you heal it? Oh, man. Bro, I hate this level. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, in this section of the game, like, enemies are actually, like, dealing big damage now, so it's not that big of an issue. Except it still kind of is, because the enemies aren't dealing enough damage for me to retain my sanity, because some of these later fights get kind of difficult, and it took me a long while, so every time I get hit, I have to wait so long to recover, and it's like, man, come on. Oh man, it's not enough. I need my cracked health bar back, even though in the end, I never do get it back, because I never find a good opportunity to crack it again now. Oh yeah, something I just realized is that so when you're doing like your wall attacks or when you're like grabbing an enemy, you know, whatever, you don't have iframes. Like, and most of the time it doesn't matter because when you're doing an attack like that, you're attacking all the other enemies. But if an enemy attacks you while you're in that animation, you will take damage. So, you know, you do a wall attack, you know, you grab an enemy, you know, you do that for like crowd control, you're like, awesome, but then an enemy clips you and it's like, okay. But the moves are still useful, but they are not, you know, completely foolproof. So, you know, you still need to like be somewhat careful when doing those moves. But sometimes when you're doing those moves, like you'll have the camera facing in such a way where you won't be able to see all of the action. So, you know, like it's not like you can be 100% certain what's gonna happen when you do that move. But, you know, be careful because you know, you could still take damage. Oh yeah, when enemies like, you know, have super armor and all that, they won't move like when you attack them, you know, they'll take damage and all that, then that's scary, you know, the next attack you do could end up like hitting you, so it's like, man, and look at that, like sometimes like with some of these tougher enemies, when they get up, like you won't be breaking their guard, you'll just be attacking them like normally, and it's like, Oh yeah, Kaito is copying Kiryu's brawler style from Yakuza 0. Just thought I mentioned that, but you know, I thought maybe y'all could notice. It's a pretty similar relationship.
Matsugane組は俺が立て直します。もう兄貴を引っ込んでる。
So here is the most annoying group fight in the game. What were they thinking with this? They were just shoving an Ishin moveset. This like dude who's like Kojiro Ozaki, like shoving all these guys in this huge crowd into this cramped room. Ah! Like horrible fight. Like just hated. Like I mean, in the beginning, I'm just gonna go extreme heat mode here because like there's just no point, man. Like I mean, okay, in the beginning, I do a combo on Kojiro because, you know, in the beginning you can actually attack enemies and all that, but after that we are going straight comboing. And I don't use my heat action immediately here because I kind of want to save it for near the end because I want to take out a bit of the crowd here and then go for this big like damage burst. And then from there we're gonna do it again just because I can. It's still going to deal good damage, though this animation is very long, so I don't really like repeating it, but still, with this fight, I don't care. Let's get rid of him. I guess like what I hate about these two guys is that they're both extremely aggro. So it's like you're dealing with two extremely aggro guys in a cramped room, and then you have a crowd. It's like, man, come on. I mean, I'm glad that Higashi's helping out, but still, even with his help, this is extremely tough. Oh yeah, I hate that animation he does. Like sometimes when you just do like square, square, triangle, but you don't do the other triangle attacks. You just do this like whoosh, 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 doing all these hand motions. Just dodge, leave, let me react. Stop doing that dumb recovery animation. It's horrible. I got hit so many times because of it. Like I mean, I just don't like how inconsistent like your recovery things can be in Judge Eyes. You know, sometimes you know the dodge canceling is super smooth and consistent, and sometimes he just does like, ugh. Like, you know, Judge Eyes like is definitely the best Dragon Engine combat. It's definitely, I think, some of the most fun combat in the Yakuza series, but it still has quite a few issues which need ironing out. And some of its issues aren't even like from Yakuza 6 and Kiwami 2. Some of it is like stuff like on its own, like some jank it introduced because of its new mechanics. But yeah, like it's definitely fun, but it still needs work, I'd say. And well, Yakuza 7 found the perfect solution to it, and that's just to not include it altogether. Hey, let's go turn-based. I don't know, I'm down for a turn-based game, but you know, I do wish that maybe for in some of the spin-offs or not, they could like improve this combat system. But you know, I'm down for turn-based, but you know, it's just funny. hope you enjoyed my smooth transition from the full intro of the fight to my 20th or 30th attempt of this fight, because this is the final boss of Judge Eyes, and he is extremely difficult because like this dude just kind of breaks most of my tactics from other boss fights. Like, you know, like this dude is just like the antithesis to like most of the design of the other boss fights. And what do you know, this guy actually has an original moveset designed for this game, and he counters most of everything that you do. Like, okay, so you know how when a boss fight is getting up, you sometimes do the square, square, triangle, triangle with Tiger, and then you switch to Crane to jump over him to kind of do a full combo? Well, if you do 2 squares, most of the time he will just auto counter you immediately. Even if you're breaking his guard, he'll just auto counter you immediately. It might even be based on his guard that he counters you, so that's out of the question. You can't do that. And even when he's trying to get up from the ground, he has this, like, if you're too close to him, he has an attack where he just immediately attacks you. So pretty much just, you know, ruining him from the ground is out of the question. And then pretty much like, okay, so what are your options? Like, you can get an attack in sometimes when he like finishes an attack, but sometimes when you attack him, he'll maybe block, maybe he'll auto counter you. And then like when he's in heat mode, he has this nasty thing where if you attack him like too soon, or when he's right next to you, or when he's about to attack, he'll just slide into you. Like, you can't react to that. Like, this dude is just like insanely tough when compared to like everything else you faced in the game, because pretty much like everything I've been doing against these like boss fights doesn't really apply here, except for, well, the flux fixture. But even then, setting that up isn't exactly as easy as the other guys, because sometimes he'll counter you. And, well, what's your other option? Well, you have your heat actions, and I certainly will be using my heat actions. But then again, you know, you don't have that many heat actions to choose from. Well, you have a ton of heat actions, but still, like, we compare with all the other boss fights, it's a little limited. However, this is when the Tiger Drop becomes really useful, though to be fair, I don't use it too much in this fight. I use it in all my future attempts against this guy, but pretty much every time he gets up, you can Tiger Drop him if you know the timing. Like, that little attack there, like, I mean, I didn't do it there because, like, once you're done with a heat action, or that specific heat action, he just immediately goes for you, and just, I mean, maybe you could react to that, but I cannot. So, you know, you just want to play it a little careful there. And now here, I should have grabbed the couch, but I didn't. So, you know, that is, you know, shame on me, but I still find a way to no damage this guy. Now, my first attempt against this guy here isn't the best. I do think I get a little bit more stylish in my future attempts against him, because, like, man, like, I was up here like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. just like struggling on this guy. This guy was a beast, and it just, I was just not having it. Like, I pretty much, like, once I had my attempt, I said, you know, that's done, that's it. You know, if I'm gonna like if I'm gonna be a little more stylish for this guy, it's gonna be in any future attempts, because, man, I am not gonna waste any more time with this. At least his super mode is easy to Tiger Drop. Like, at first I tried to Tiger Drop the second kick he does, because, like, his thing is that he does one kick and then does a way faster kick after that, and usually, I don't know, okay, I'll Tiger Drop the second kick, but didn't work out that way. I actually found out that the first kick is actually pretty easy to dodge, because once I saw like this little like purple streak coming at me, I was able to Tiger Drop that. And look, he can also parry you doing that, and sometimes he can immediately attack after that, so it's like, you know, you're screwed. But thankfully, he didn't do that to me. He actually gave me some time to prepare. And, oh, here we go, time to end the fight. So this guy's pretty cool, because, I don't know, like, his story purpose is that he's kind of like Lao Gui, except that when they reveal who Lao Gui is, like, he's actually like a character who's been in the story for quite some time. Now, he isn't all that present in the story, but, like, it's a little bit more, like, surprising to see him in the role than on Lao Gui, because he just kind of shows up out of nowhere, and it's pretty much just some random guy who's been, like, doing all the backdoor killings of the game. Anyways, here we are fighting the police, which isn't really a boss fight, but I just wanted to include it because this music, listen to this. Well, no, actually, don't listen to this. The music gets better later on. And also, I think this is my best use of the extreme heat mode, like, OP-ness, because I pretty much, this is when I start using all the dodge canceling to its maximum effect. Well, not dodge canceling, style canceling. Like, yeah, just style switching to cancel into another attack. Like, this is my best attempt at it. So, I don't know, I think it pretty much just speaks for itself, so just look at it. So yeah, that was insane because like, I don't know, something which I just realized is that I was so quick because so pretty much I do like my triangle combo with like the extreme heat mode with like Crane, and then I switch over to Tiger, and then like pretty much when I switch over to Tiger, I try to do like a Tiger attack, like a triangle one, just kind of to get back into the mood of things. However, what I end up doing is I end up just kicking the enemy instead, and that's just a little quick 1 second animation, which then I can immediately switch over to Crane to get back to my combos. Like, I mean, to be fair, it's kind of lucky that I was able to get those kicks in there, but I'm sure there's like a way to premeditate it and all that, but still, like, and the music was going hard there, like, yo, yeah. Now the awesome music is back, however this fight isn't as memorable. I decided to use extreme heat mode again, except this time instead of using my triangle combos, I decided to use my normal combos, but in their extremely fast state, because you can cancel out of those super quick and it's like fun to do. And also in the previous police fight, like I used my Crane ability like at the very end. I used my Crane ability like at the very beginning to like do the heat action, then I use the heat action again at the very end. I don't know, I just think that's neat. And anyways, we're going to completely demolish this guy because like that final kick you do just deals a ton of damage, and then plus the heat action just like demolishes people. It's definitely demolished some previous boss fights in this run, and it's gonna demolish that guy all the same. And now here, this guy's moveset is really hard to deal with and get combos in, so I'm just like going for a couple taps and just helping my partner helps out. No, when this guy retaliates, you can't really react to it. Well, to be fair, most boss fight reactions you can't retaliate to. Oh yeah, I mean this never really applies in any of the fights. However, I am extremely grateful that grabs don't deal damage anymore. Like, I mean, okay, not your grabs, the enemy grabs. Because, like, in Yakuza 6 and Kiwami 2, if an enemy grabs you, that dealt damage. And that was, like, even if, like, they don't throw you, that's, like, them, like, holding you still dealt damage. That was stupid. I'm just glad they got rid of it. So, yeah, just thought I'd mention that. Well, here is the finale of Saito, hopefully in the series, because I don't think his moveset's gonna be that much fun in any future entries. Oh, maybe turn-based. Maybe in the turn-based it'll be fun. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, this is the final fight. Not really as big of a group as he had in his first fight. However, something really deadly is gonna happen with this group is that after you take out a certain amount of enemies, they're gonna pull out guns. And guns are, in this game, they could cripple your health bar. And well, to be fair, in certain cases, I would want to cripple my health bar, but crippling your health bar here is damage. I don't want that. So yeah, now everyone pulls out guns. After a certain point, they're policed, and they're like, okay, time to use the gun. Thankfully, my iframes are extremely plentiful, so I can kind of just keep spamming the X button until we get there. However, one of these policemen is extremely dodgy. Like every time, like they'll always dodge your first hit. It's ridiculous. This guy's a nuisance here. You're gonna see really quick just how much of a nuisance this guy is. Well, I mean, there he didn't, because he was about to shoot me, but like, okay, look, dodge. Like, oh, okay, not dodge there. There we go, very nice. However, I try to go for some light taps, and he just will not let me. Well, okay, he's kind of getting destroyed there, but oh well. Oh, no. 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 Oh, a second punch there. No. 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 I have to like juggle that guy like hitting me. Okay, there we go. Finally, we got it. And he's doing that stupid recovery pose. Stop doing that. Like, I don't care if like it's like needed to like compose your balance. Stop doing that, bro. Like, you're a video game. You can do whatever you want. Stop doing that recovery pose, please. Anyways, we're gonna do Tiger Drop there, and I guess one complaint with like Judge Ige's combat system, which doesn't really apply that much, because I don't know, once you get like in a good flow, like it doesn't matter, but like your animations are like super flashy. Like, you know, you're swinging your arms and legs around, and like, I mean, maybe that's part of the martial art or whatever, but like, it's like really flashy, you know, like the legs, the poses, like all these like elaborate like kicks and flips and all that. However, all that takes time. Time that with certain enemies who react extremely fast will just screw you while you're like doing all these elaborate animations. And most of the time, these elaborate animations aren't a big deal, but when the enemy AI, when like the enemy design is stacked against you at certain points, it's just like, man, you know, I'll prefer a faster attack if anything. Like, please. I know you're just gonna end up. Oh, yeah, here we go, babe. To be honest, I forgot my partner's name. I only remember his spoiler name, which shows up at the end. Hey, we're at the end. Terasawa, that's his last name. Cool guy. Cool bit in the story. Anyways, here is the final boss fight. This is an awesome intro. And I hope you do like how I edited how the actual full intro and my actual attempt together flawlessly. Though you might have noticed a little change in the music though. So this time, instead of doing the tiger thing, which is inconsistent, I decided to go for the crane, which will always work. And well, actually it was starting to get a little ridiculous with this, because sometimes, like, okay, crane has this funny thing where you can keep spamming your light attacks. Like, pretty much you have like 4 light attacks. However, if you keep pressing the button, it'll just reset. So, you know, you do 4 light attacks, keep pressing the button, it'll reset back to 1. So you can just kind of do that infinitely until an enemy gets tired of you. And pretty much like the cheeky thing I was doing was I would pretty much just do square, 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 you know, 4 of them, and then I would do it again, and that's when I would do like my heavy attacks to do the heat action just for that little extra damage. It's not consistent, but it kind of works most of the time. However, at some point I was getting tired of this guy and he kept countering me, so I went for the actual consistent strat. So this time, instead of like in my first fight against him, I just did like the flux fixture, and then like, you know, because once he hit heat mode, that's when I pulled out my heat actions, because at that point he got difficult. It got a little more difficult to do the flux fixture with him, so I pulled out all the heat actions. But here I'm going to pull out all the heat actions possible against him, because in the second phase, I don't know, I mean, I'm just a little more experienced with the guy. So this time, instead of like waiting around to do the cool stuff, I'm going to do the cool stuff now. However, I'm just kind of waiting for it to register, because sometimes my heat actions just don't show up because they don't like me. And also, to progress to the next phase, I actually have to hit this guy with a light attack. And well, Crane is pretty good for this, so let's just go into this next feature-length QTE. Oh yeah, one thing I gotta say, I love how the rain is pouring outside. Like, you know, I've always wanted that in a Yakuza fight, so to see it done here, pretty dope. Oh yeah, but like, so when you try to tiger drop his coming up attack, sometimes you'll miss. And to be fair, it might be a positioning thing. I'm not 100% sure, but it's really annoying, because sometimes when you miss that tiger drop, he will immediately counter attack you, and it's like so annoying. Like, but I tiger dropped you. I clearly tiger dropped you, but take the damage. Take the damage. Oh, and one ridiculous thing is that this guy sometimes blocks your tiger drops, and you like when you tiger drop, it'll just be a guard break. Are you serious? Like, I mean, this isn't the first time this has happened in the series, but like, the dude blocked the tiger drop. What? Okay, there. I wasn't gonna mess around with that. I got the tiger drop, but then I had like the physics got all wanky, so I'm not dealing with that. But yeah, the feature-length QTE isn't actually a QTE. I mean, it's just more of a cinematic. And to be fair, I'm fine with that. Like, the enjoyment of like those sequences isn't that you have to do a QTE. It's just the sick animations and the sick cinematics. So really, without like the having to press a button while watching them is fine. It's just like a transition to the fight. So, you know, cool. But it's really long. I hope you like my transition from the actual full like cinematic to my actual attempt. Just thought I'd put it in there. And yeah, so this fight's gonna be a little bit more of a Tiger Drop City. The Jimmy Q balls, it's all, yeah. Like, I mean, I do not miss my Tiger Drops in this one. The only time I stop Tiger Dropping is when the enemy decides that they've had enough and they just get up normally. Like, yeah, he's not dealing with that anymore. However, it won't be long. That spirit won't last, believe me. So yeah, now that I can't rely on my Tiger Drops anymore, we're gonna go back to the good old heat actions. However, the game decides they're not gonna register. Look, the prompt showed up. Why didn't they register? That's ridiculous. But anyways, he's gonna do this foolish mistake because now I'm just gonna Tiger Drop him. So yeah, I guess my strategy here is move the stick in a circle while targeting him and then Tiger Drop him. I don't know how that helps, but it's like a, it's like a placebo. You know what I mean? I just kind of did that and boom, look at this, just landing all these perfect Tiger Drops. So good enough for me. Just do a little crisscross applesauce and you'll just pretty much win the game. And look at that. Foolish mistake. However, this time I'm not going to Tiger Drop him because I want to end him with a little more style. Time to bring back the Akiyama swag. Wow, so yeah, thanks for watching my video. Wow, I really talked throughout the Shin Amon, baby! And this was an attempt I've done months ago and uploaded on the channel. So yeah, this is not a new attempt, this is my old attempt. And yeah, I just thought I'd include it. And it's also the only clip here that's at 720p. However, I upscaled it to 1080. So, it's practically the same, right? But yeah, anyway, so yeah, this fight, pretty dope. However, it's definitely a very gimmicky fight, though. I gotta say, I think it's rad as hell. But yeah, so Shin Amon. So yeah. So we're not playing as Kiryu anymore. The games want to move on from him, even though they don't. They keep bringing him back for some reason or another. But 6 was his end. And now we got a new Amon to show for it. Now, yeah, I'm really liking this new guy. Awesome theme. Like, this theme is amazing, and this battle is just like super inventive, cool. Just like, most Amon fights are kind of like a reuse of assets, but like this one is like just super cool. Like, yeah, it's reusing a ton of assets. Like, he's using like Andre's moveset, which like the dude with guns Koga was also using. He's got pretty much Koga's like moveset in the beginning. Oh, and check this out. Like, if he grabs you, he can steal your phone, which practically like he stole your pause screen away. So now it's like, oh man. And that's crazy. It's just like neat little stuff like that is cool. So yeah, and not only that, this fight has phases, which is pretty dope. And now here we're actually gonna land the flux fixture. So yeah, this first phase is just this, like pretty much like he can pretty much like same like the final boss fight. He can counter you if you do like a double, if you do a double combo, pretty much square, square, triangle, triangle. So you don't want to do that. But now here's his second phase, the blue sabers, but they're more like whips. And like the whole arena changes. You're like in like the Sleepy Beauty like level. Like yo, this is awesome. And then like now, pretty much the whole gimmick here is that these things that he shoots at you, like yeah, those things, pretty much they don't damage you if you're the same color as those things. So now, hey, look at that. The styles like are being used as a cool little gimmick. Cool. So you pretty much have to match these styles. So in the beginning, okay, not too bad. And for this first phase, pretty much what you do is just you run up to the wall and then you grab them over and over. Like, could you do something else? Yeah, but why? You just run up to the wall and grab them. So yeah, for this phase, you pretty much just do that. And then for the next phase, things will get a little more complicated. But for right now, this is all we're doing. Look at that instant stage transition. Like the entire ground changed. Like the colors, like, oh man, like, it's so dope. And also it must have been really like ambitious to do, because now look at this frame rate. Look at the slowdown on that. That looks horrible, but yeah, this is awesome. I mean, that's another reason why I want this game on PC, because seeing this at an actual smooth, stable frame rate would be amazing. But yeah, but now the strategy changes. Like, pretty much it's gonna be very hard to attack this guy without your extreme heat mode, so that's pretty much just what I'm doing. I'm using my extreme heat mode against them, because I don't know, like, attacking this guy without getting attacked is like near impossible unless you use tiger drops. But tiger dropping this guy with this slowdown and his combos, like, man, I don't know about that. And anyways, I was able to land this heat action, which is pretty dope. However, once you move on from this phase, things are going to get a little more complicated. You can't just rely on using the same style as them, because now they have these shields. These shields can only be broken by a strong attack. And those strong attacks are either a tiger drop or a wall attack. And you have to do it as the opposite style. So there's the danger that his projectiles that he's shooting at you will actually damage you while you're trying to do this. So now things have gotten a lot more hectic. And when he starts switching between them instantaneously at a certain point, like, it's stressful. Because, I mean, at certain points you might just get screwed, because there's like no opportunity to do the wall attacks, and you just kind of have to wait it out, you know, build up heat so you can go back to your extreme heat mode. Like, I mean, it's a gimmicky fight, but I mean, it still has like its difficulty, though. Admittedly, I think it is somewhat easy when compared to some of the other fighters. Look at that, instantaneous. I try to go for it, I missed. Stress ensues, because now look at them, the bullets are coming right at you. You gotta switch immediately. And while he's in this, like, while he has this shield up, you can't really deal any damage to him. So, you know, I mean, yeah, you can keep spamming your extreme heat mode. It won't get you anywhere. The fight will take like 10 or 20 minutes instead of like the 6 this one took. And to be fair, this only took 6 minutes because I kind of screwed up a couple things. Oh, and yeah, this game also like can be really dirty at points. There was one point where I broke his shield, and then he immediately switched to his other style. It was infuriating. But yeah, like this game, like cool fight, fair, fun, given that you have extreme heat mode. I mean, by itself, I don't know how fair and fun it'd be. Never seen anyone attempt it without using extreme heat mode. I mean, it would be interesting to see, but I don't know if it'd be that fun, but would be interesting to see for sure. And look at that! And now here, look at this. This is so fair. I go to hit him. Look at that. What was that? What was that, dude? Oh man. And the thing is, like, when I was attacking him, I actually believed that I broke his shield, but I didn't. Like, oh man, that's not fair, dude. Like, look at that. The situation just like has changed. He starts changing between his styles like insanely fast. And at that point, like, you can't rely on like him shooting your projectiles that much. I mean, yeah, with the red style, he shoots them like a ton, so you can build up heat really fast. But with the blue style, that like those like projectiles barely hit you, and it's just like, man, so you just always gotta be on your toes. So yeah, when you see the health bar shaking, that's not me taking damage. That's me actually getting health. Because another thing the projectiles do is that if you're the same style as those projectiles, you actually get your health back. And look at that. Look at all those particle effects, but it's over. It's done. We no damage Shin Amon, and we no damage every single boss fight in this game. Except for some side quest ones, which are ludicrous. And also, I don't want to do all the side quests again. I didn't make a save file for that. So yeah, anyways, those are all the boss fights in Judgei. So yeah, this is definitely my longest video to date. And as for any next videos, I do plan on no damaging Yakuza 7. Somehow, if it's possible, I will find a way. However, Yakuza 7 comes out in 10 days, and I don't really plan on going too hard on any games in between that. Don't expect a new video anytime soon. Hopefully this will suffice before then. So yes, I'll see y'all next time. Peace.